We're just so glad to have everyone here this morning to welcome you to a really special event for us at the first time here. And we all know that living and working internationally means a lot of change in our lives. And fortunately, sometimes that change is very good, and it means that new people come into our lives. We're always looking for new resources here in Shanghai, and so we're delighted this morning that we can have as a guest speaker child psychiatrist Dr. Ted Hu. So he's been trained in both China and the U.S. and has extensive experience. If you read that bio I sent you to read, and specializes in the medical diagnosis and treatment of child and adolescent disorders. So we've invited him today to talk to us about a topic that we all have a lot of questions about, and that's childhood anxiety. So Dr. Hu, please come and welcome you.
Good morning. I just came here and I was telling Miss Abby, I said I have an anxiety really high, and which is good. You know, I need that to keep my alert. The reason is I'm not a native English speaker, and I'm a native Chinese speaker instead. And also, I didn't know all of you come here what you expect. People expect different things. I read your question list. Everybody, different people ask different things. Another thing is, last night I was playing around with my notes to rehearsal, and I always said, okay, let's update to my computer up to the Yosemite, which is fun, right? And after I'd done my upgrade, my Kindle's gone. Isn't that anxiety? My God. Oh God, then I finally worked and really hard to use my time capsule, whatever we call that, and got partially back. Then I was like, okay, at least I wrote my notes, everything, so I can remember a lot of things, so I added on. Well, most of them don't know. And then in the morning, through email, I said, I'm going to bring some resource. The things here we go. Everything's been my resource here. I put in my luggage, and last time I traveled, the luggage I forgot combination lock, and I left it open. My two boys in the morning jumping, boom, locked it. And another anxiety. My God, so how could I handle this morning? Luckily, things are sorted out. This is a life. We do this every day. As an adult, we're mature, right? And we do that every day. How are kids? I've been working with kids all my life. I love kids. And after I graduated from medical school, and I said, what should I do? Pediatrician and surgeon? Because it takes a long time to actually get there. And so I decided to work with kids, and there's a brain hospital next to our school. I got in there and become a child psychiatrist, and did my training in China, and it wasn't enough, so I went to the States. I did psychology training and behavior trainings, and I actually worked a few years in Texas as a special ed teacher and behavior therapist. That's why I all my life I've been with kids a lot. And then I worked in Hong Kong for about 6-7 years, and also with kids in international school. I don't speak Cantonese, but I understand a lot. Anyway, so today I will share, I'm also a father of 3. I mean, for Chinese, it's pretty rare, but I do have 3 kids. I have a teenage girl now in boarding school in Texas, and I have 2 young sons with me, primary level, preschool, fit right here. I'm dealing with their anxiety every single day, trust me. Well, look at everybody here from all over the place. You travel, and globalization brings you all here, and the world much closer, and we traveled a lot. And we, like I traveled, I lived in States for 9 years, I lived in Hong Kong for 9 years, and I lived in Beijing for 4 years. I used to work in the United Family over there, and then I come here, I jumped to Parkway because it's close for me. And my wife, I complain about my wife. Every 2 years, we have to move a place. Either a city, continent, or house. You know, this time we're gonna make it for sure for longer than 2 years. I mean, I know international school teachers, I know some teachers are here. I mean, international school teachers, they love to continent job hopping, they call it. Every 2 or 3 years, they're gone, a different continent, right? We have a teacher here. God used to work in the international schools also, so I know. They enjoy that. But can you imagine kids? That's tough, you know, I mean. I work in a Parkway, I have I don't know, there are 6 or 7 or even more psychologists working to dealing with this anxiety for adults. Some will deal with kids. But they are very busy and we are hurrying. That's for adults. A lot of anxiety, depression, mental issues. And how about our kids? Their developing mind is still growing. They're probably 10 times more vulnerable, having anxiety than us. And also mommies, what we do? Come on, can't do that. Come on, time's up. Bust here, all that. A lot of pushing it and chasing on that. Early on, and they're coping. I'm going to share actually with my personal experience with anxiety and my professional experience with anxiety during my clinical experience dealing with kids. People come to my door. I probably call them anxiety disorder, or some anxiety issues. And we'll talk about treatment later. There's a few people asking about treatment, asking about medications. We're going to talk about that later. But today, mainly, I know most of you come here, it just will slice the anxiety your kids will deal with on daily life. Like I had earlier, we feel much better now with little coffee. You got a coffee now, right? Once I get here, well, my heart, I feel my heart pounding. That's normal, right? But for our kids, Mommy, I don't want to go to school today. My tummy hurt. You see, okay. Let's talk about anxiety. We deal with anxiety every day, but may not be called anxiety disorder, okay? The anxiety I just had 15 seconds ago. That's anxiety. I have that, okay? What anxiety is, something happened I cannot predict. It will be a desired one in a situation. That causes anxiety. Fears, worries, part anxiety. And we have all that. That's all surviving skills. We have fear, we have worries. That keeps us going. I remember when I first moved from Hong Kong to China with my young boys. Huge concern, anxiety, fears. Because the child kidnapping or abducting, whatever you call that. I've been a very overprotective parent of my son. And every single step I've got to watch out, hold their hand. I heard a lot of bad news about grabbing kids off the street, grabbing kids in the mall and all that. Anxiety, huge. And also, I don't know, do we have Chinese here, right? I see quite a few. And I've been living and outside in the U.S. and Hong Kong. When I come back, I have culture gap. I speak fluent Chinese, but I don't know how to fit in with my local fellows anymore. I can't even talk to my parents. There are a lot of misunderstandings. And I remember my son Jake when he was 3 years old, and we sent him to school. He cried every single morning for 2 months. And I said, well, 2 months, that fits to separation anxiety. But he was in Hong Kong with a bilingual English-speaking kind of program. Then I put him in the bilingual, well, mostly English-speaking. And he had huge issues with that. And for 2 months, normally what we're talking about the diagnosis criteria is over a month, we're going to qualify with separation anxiety. luckily, there were a teacher, I remember her from Brazil, so nice. For the first couple of weeks, every single day, was helping him, help him separately. And my younger son later on went to Yao Chong. I'm talking about younger son, Aiden. And he was, we tried to, he was Chinese speaking initially, and then we put him in international school with bilingual, Yao Chong in Beijing. For a whole year, he didn't speak at all. For the whole school, whole year, for the whole school year, he was whispering. And we're looking at diagnostic criteria, is selective mutism. But I know my son is not. But now he's in Shanghai Yao Chong, he just non-stop talking, just in both languages. Yeah. But should we diagnose him? But this is, I think, basically his personality. He's more like my wife, very shy. And we have to consider her personalities, temperament, all that. All right, enough of my kids. The reason I'm bringing up two of my two boys' cases because it fits into the audience here, and they both have issues. My son's in Yao Chong now, year 2, very active, and slightly have a little anxiety. Okay, 7 years old, he just turned 7. But he still, a lot of parents, I think he probably agrees with me, and he still have a little blanket. In Chinese, I call it popper. I don't know if Chinese are popper. He still have that. Well, a lot of parents must think this is bizarre, still having that. But for me, it's fine. If he doesn't have that every single day, when we travel, he promised I won't take that with me. That's the first step we did. When we travel, can we leave Barbara at home? Okay. But now when he's upset, at night, the first thing he searches for is Barbara. Is that okay? Come on, it's okay, it's sleeping pills. It's very good. It's melatonin we're talking about. Totally fine. Okay? But in a clinical, see parents come to me, my boy's 3 years old, still holding his blanket everywhere he goes. Totally fine. My boy's fine. At school he's totally excellent. The teacher said he's a model for the class. He has some anxiety too. All right, let's talk about the two. I can't use my client's name, so I use very popular Queen Elsa. This Queen Elsa is only 6 years old, almost 7. He was born in China, and he's first from the expat family. He was sent into preschool. He was in the English-speaking schools, preschools. Very happy, a lot of friends, and no concern at all. Beautiful, slim. He's always chased by those model agents to take photos. Probably some of you probably had experience as well. But and articulate, it's artistic, and it's always like raw, very elegant, and always she's doing all this all the time, trying to be pretty. And time for primary school, the parents said, "Wait, we're in China. It's good opportunity for our kids to learn Chinese." So they went to a little extreme. They went send her to local top, very hard to get in, top private Chinese school. And he went the exam, everything, got in. I think people saying about 1,000 applied for 40 spaces, something like that. It's very, very hard to get in. And she got in. She was the only white girl in the whole class. Well, first couple, initially she learned Chinese. Well, she can't speak a little Chinese, but she never learned how to read and write, and so started painting, all that. A few months later, and she's still happy at school, a lot of friends, because she's very popular among her friends. But the only thing is she lost her preschool friends, and the friends she used to play with a lot. And she into a brand new environment, most Chinese, and the language media is Chinese. And also she has been the youngest girl in the class. A lot of adult issues. And the father was very kind of determined. So she actually in the program, the native Chinese speaker. You see all that things added on, a lot of stressors on there. And a few months later after school, and she developed mommy urinating, go to pee a lot. And later on it's about 56 times a day, during daytime, we're not talking about nighttime. And sometimes just one class period, she'll go to like 10 times, especially those math class. And I asked her, so how? She's artistic, so art class, maybe once. She's okay. And also, but she's still good. Behavior is really well at school. Nobody will notice anything. And at home, she had two younger sisters at home. At home, she become very controlling, very irritable, always have fight with parents. And over homework, Chinese school, they have lots of homework every day until 10 o'clock. So all that. And mommy very worried, because of the urination and all that, and also sleeping issues. Used to be sleep by herself, no problem, and as a big sister at home, she every night wants to sleep with mom. She can't, otherwise she can't sleep. And worry about a lot of things, didn't want to go to school, having a tummy ache in the morning, and I hate school, and all that things coming gradually more. And father is very determined, very tough. And he told me this is actually pure behavior issues. So if I sit here with her, I said, cannot go to the toilet, and she will make things sit there with him for 1 hour. And she can focus. That's the proof of him. So I can. But later on, well, it's happy. Summer's there, and they have a vacation. They invited a few friends from the home country. A few months, very, very happy. But a few weeks before school starts, the frequent urination coming back again. This time, bedwetting. Every single night. And you can tell she's very anxious, talking about school a lot. But she didn't, and she's so proud of herself. Perfectionist, because I don't want to go to another school, because you're going to go to repeat first grade. No. Her academic performance is not as good compared to a lot of Chinese kids in there. So they came to see me August. I joined the Parkway in August. I came to see me right before school starts. And I kind of suggest, I think it's mainly environmental issues. A lot of stressors. We help her, number one, we need to de-stress it, to change the environment. Father is very tough. I know, probably have couples always have different views. So sometimes I want to see parents together to see unless they are really on the same page. And what can I say? I give them the reasons. I said, if you want to do that, I want her to go to another school, English speaking, and she feel more comfortable. And also I want her to repeat. So we actually planned it out. So she will go second grade, is the youngest one in the classroom. She can go to British system, go to year 2. So she feels okay with the number, but everything will go better. And the father said, no, we're going to try. If sister in there, the 2 younger sisters can join that school for sure. Blah, 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 because it's so hard getting. All those reasons. I understand, But now, just Monday, mommy called me again. She said, Dr. Go, I need to talk to you. And it's just not good. And now the school actually telling parents the school is not suitable for her because the behaviors, disrupting the classroom. It's not acting out, just constantly go to the toilet. And the bed when you come back again and all that. Should I give her medication? This case, definitely right, I won't give her. This is not her problem. That's how she responds. Her body responds to the environment, to the stressors. And well, of course, I should diagnose with anxiety disorder because that's how she responds to that. And now, the first step, I recommend parents on Monday, please see a therapist to help her. And please, I want to see Dad. So I want to see Dad together again. Hopefully, I can see them next week. This is Queen Elsa. Pretty, just like Elsa. When we see Elsa, we should see Princess Anna. Princess Anna, she's furious. She's jumping around everywhere. And this Elsa is a little bit older, 10 years old. And she has been always anxious girl when she was born. But she lived in States with from childhood, same family, same neighborhood, same school all along. She was happy until 3rd grade. The Christmas before the Christmas, the parents got to know. Father said, "Oh, I got a job in Shanghai. We're gonna move." Starting that moment, the child become "Mommy, come here." And getting more and more, and asking lots of questions about China, about travel, about this and that. Already starting. Is it familiar? Probably have that. And then the parents, "Oh, what's going on?" So they took her to see GI specialist. Found nothing. Everything okay. They realized there might be anxiety going on. Well, the father has anxiety disorder as well, so that's wrong in the family. We'll talk about that later. So they started therapy and getting it better, so she could cope with it better. And then the summer came and they moved here. Was good. Honeymoon initially, a lot of exciting things to see. First few months she was fine. Then gradually she having this tummy ache again, more and more. And especially when the event, math class, today's math class, and they're going to have a trip somewhere. And the tummy always happens like that. It's very predictable. And gradually asking lots of questions. And every single night, she has to go through a list of things with Mom. "Mommy, have we locked the door?" Check. "Mommy," they're checklists, literally. "Mommy, have we locked the window?" "Mommy, have we turned the gas?" The list go on and add more and more. It's exhausting for her and for parents, Mom. And refuse to go to bed alone. It used to be okay. She's 10 years old already. And every single night, Mom had to sleep with her until she falls asleep. And struggling. And nightmares, screaming at night and all that. And she used to love beach. And they went to Thailand, since they moved here. But October break, they went to Singapore. And she couldn't, in Sentosa, in the beach. She refused to go to the beach. Why? "I'm afraid of shark. The shark will jump out of water." Very realistic, right? It's not, but. And they're having a hard time taking our airplanes. And the family, the mother told me, "What can we do? We got a ticket back to States over Christmas." It seems like we're gonna have to cancel it because on the way back from Singapore, she was screaming. And it was a disaster. Familiar? Not at that point. This one, and also she already gone through a therapist since they came back from Singapore, which is very, very good. I highly recommend it. The only thing is the girl came to me because I don't want to see a therapist. It's tricky, you know, talking about CBT as a therapist. It's taking a bonding, the personal relationship with the therapist. If they're working out together, then fine. If they're not, it's not good. We'll talk about treatment later. There's a way we can open it up. This is a hammer. Sounds familiar, right? But not for everyone. This is actually severe. This girl is so severe, and she's been missing school quite a few days already. Not this school. And she refused to have treatment for therapy. This girl, I gave her spicy dosage of antidepressant, which is for that very small dosage. And it seemed like working out pretty well. Good to start. See, it depends, right? I'll share with my two boys. It's very, very regular to see that pretty much every single family. And then Elsa, I think it's typical developmental because she's too young in the classroom. And also environmental, social environment, causing a lot of those anxieties. And Princess Anna will be probably a bit more severe because the genetic in the family, and also how she responds severely to the situation. So we get a little ideas about anxiety, and after I review my family, also royal family, so we get some ideas. It's all familiar, right? I'm assuming since you come here, must be something going on with your kids. Am I right? All right. So what is anxiety? This is my old slide. This is my old slide. Anyway. What is anxiety disorder? This is not right. Where's the IT person? There's supposed to be one picture I will show you. Both Anna, the royal families, Anna and also Elsa, at school, they're beautiful. They're elegant. I mean, I know Anna a bit strange because she's busy school, but at school she was perfect. She tried to do the best she can. The teacher only saw her once at math class because the math test. She a little bit tensed up a little bit. And a little shaky. That's all. She's a good soccer player. She's really good with all that. And there's something, you might see that is, I have different slides on here. As children with anxiety suffer in silence. We don't know. There's a one description of that I quoted from a book. It says, a child who is anxious and hiding is like a swan, seemingly gliding across the surface of the pond, but paddling like crazy underneath. Think of our kids. It's really, and those kind of paddling work is exhausting. Exhausting. So I'm sharing this, I want you to kind of understand our kids better, to have a little more sympathy to understand how they're suffering. They suffer more than you think. This is the reason in the clinic, I see quite a lot of patients, clients come to me. Why my child is perfect at school, is a disaster at home. Because see, he's put all the energy together for 8 hours at school. Can you imagine? Want to be perfect, want to please everybody. And at home, we crash. Relax. So sometimes, please, give them a little freedom. They need a rest. We'll probably do more activities, relaxation. Come on, homework. That's obstacle program. Let's do this swimming, blah, blah, blah. Well, swimming, which plus is good, right? Are we doing that every day? I do that every to my son to feel guilty when I'm doing this lecture. But that's the life we have. But come on, just think. They're not easy. Can't make my slides. It's wrong. Okay, now, next slide is supposed to be. Now, what is anxiety disorder? I will say our royal family, they're having anxiety disorder. Anxiety disorder, especially for little Elsa, she doesn't know much. She's just acting out. That's why we're on our criteria of diagnosis with younger children. Normally we say it's not really worry if you, instead you're just crying, irritable, frustration, acting out, tantrum. That's actually exactly Elsa doing it. Well, at least I have this. Thank you. I lost it. So this one, I gotta prepare the rest of it. So you can also see my notes on that, which is good. I didn't write in Chinese. So anxiety disorder, all those kids for Anna and Elsa, I don't think that my two boys, among all you guys, the kids, are actually having anxiety disorder. They probably more of anxiety to dealing with the situation, transition in life, and development issues and all that. It's transition. And for anxiety disorder, I know there's some people knocking their head, they probably share the same symptoms with Anna and Elsa, so we need to address it. And also for a lot of anxiety, just pure developmental anxiety, if we don't address it properly, probably will develop into anxiety disorder. That's why it's important let's just talk about this. How are we going to use our time? See, someone knows, nobody don't show me anything else. I'm not anxiety for me too. Okay, but anxiety disorder, it has to be disorder. You have to be, number one, it's the ability is underestimated, the ability to cope in the situation, and overestimated of the risk. It's your mind. And those two things are causing a lot of distress and fears and worries, and in causing behavior changes in your life. And also, anxiety is debilitating to the child, causing chronic fatigue, physical symptoms, and other things causing social communication issues, and also causing impairment in peer and family. See, Anna, we're talking about Anna. Now they have to stay here for Christmas if we don't have a treatment, in place. They probably stay here. I told Anna, I said, Anna, I'll get you on my plane Christmas time, but you have to work with me together. This is a disorder, and this disorder we mostly talking about function, the function impairment. Anna is very severe to me at 10 years old. That's why and she also refused to therapy. I found her another therapist anyway. So in the meantime, I give her medication. All right, let's talk about some facts of anxiety disorders. Most disorders actually develop in childhood. That's why we gotta watch out. That's why this lecture is for. As parents, we need to see what's the sign for that. And it's about 13% average. Well, lifetime is about 50%. I mean, it's overall. And also, girls has more chance of having anxiety disorders. Normally 2 to 1. And it's not fair, right, to girls. Hey, boys have more time having autism and ADHD. Life's fair, right? And the thing is, the most prevalent psychiatric condition among children today. Very popular. And that's why we address. That's why I see so many audiences here today. I used to have this just small one up to that, and today is wow, very good. And if you don't treat them, it won't go away. Like I said, I'm not just saying for small, for anxiety, daily anxiety, if we don't treat them well, sometimes our parents we don't know how to deal with it, maybe later on develop into these disorders. And also highly comorbid with other conditions. So we see a lot of ADHD kids with anxiety disorder. Sometimes, I see quite a few ADHD kids in my community. There's Concerta, there's Prozac. I know, I don't give that to everybody, but just there are cases they have. It's very highly coexisting conditions. And also depression. For teens, I said I've been talking to a teenage girl here. A lot of anxiety, social anxiety, panic attack among our teens. And together with depression. Very, very common. And of course, social anxiety comorbid together with panic attack, panic disorder, with generalized separation anxiety, all combined together, it's all very often. And also among our children's Asperger's, huge anxiety. And we see them a lot. A lot of Asperger kids will give them antidepressant for that purpose. Not to help them to socialize better, but actually to ease anxieties. Cause. Genetic. It's number one. Well, I will talk about that more later. And also brain structure, temperament, we'll talk about this. And parenting style. I'm glad that we need to address here today. How we do to do better for our kids. Environmental issues, trauma events, we can talk about that. Okay. Well, I don't know why it's jumping. Can you still see?
We can do that.
Okay, all right. Genetically, if one of our parents having anxiety disorder, it's 7 times more likely the child will have that. So that's why I'll ask a lot of questions about families, any anxiety disorders or any mental issues among the family. And in Beijing, was still find her father is a patient of my colleague, and I know him. And he brought his daughter to my office. It's my daughter. I said, okay, anxiety. Yes, anxiety. And the thing is, it's so funny, I have asked, so Daddy, what medication you take? Oh, so all right. The daughter is so too. Usually okay with that. You can tell the genetic issues. And she has about taking 30 to 40% of that. It's gone. Oh, I can move it around. Okay. The brain structure. Okay, that's just seeing our brain structure. I can just move this. It's a thick. Look at this one. I like this cartoon. It's our brains. Look at anxious brain and non-anxious brain. Anxious brain is like a very, very strong net. Grab everything, single thing. And this non-anxious net actually is a broken net. You let something go. I don't care. Let it go. Forget about it. In Chinese, 没心没肺. I don't get Chinese. It's actually good. I don't even get it, Chinese. Don't care. Okay, so this is actually typical. I like this one because it's representing. I mean, some kids just worry about every single thing, generalized anxiety disorder. Worry about every single thing in life. What if I can't tie my shoes in the middle of a PE class? And what if, tons of what if? Another thing we'll talk about, which I will share with you, and I think it's a great book here. This is about our, I bring some resource here. I think our parents probably like to look at. And the good things about it for Chinese parents is a few books translated in Chinese, which is very good. And this is talking about our brains, talking about how to respect, how to parent our child, to take care of child's emotional issues through a brain structure. The brains we have, we call upper brain, which is the cortex. We're making a good decision, rational decision. We organize our things. We put ourselves together. And anxiety is actually lower brain. For developmental perspective, when they're young, the upper brain, cortex part, will not fully develop, starting to develop until 3 years old. So that's why we call it terrible too, right? They don't know anything. It's acting out emotionally. And so for some kids, especially the temperament and also for kids with maybe genetically carry anxiety genes, they probably develop further later because they're so sensitive to the stimulant around them. So that was the upper brain. And there's also the amygdala, which is inside the limbic system, which is upper the lower brain. And sometimes it's connecting the upper brain and the lower brain. And sometimes sending a wrong message to our upper brain. So actually, I saw a mouse, but it's sending a message to it, actually that's an elephant. Exaggerated. So amygdala is working like this, sending a wrong message. Oh, there are other issues in there too. So generally speaking, it's a lower brain, upper brain to be. This is all in that book, which is I highly recommend everyone to read about it. And so just say, thinking about 3 or 4 years of preschoolers, their rational decision-making machine is not ready. What can we do? Of course, they're very emotional. Of course, their anxiety very, very high. So for my son, 4 years old, I take care of him really good. The boy, the younger son. And I know he's being anxious like mom, very shy, very anxious. That's why he was whole year in year 2, he didn't speak a single word. Why didn't he just whisper in Chinese with Chinese teacher? So this is what we had. This is the newly about 20 years we found out this how our brain works, how our brain develops. So and another thing about this book is when the kids having a tantrum, totally meltdown. I see a lot of parents, especially my fellow Chinese parents, will reason really, really well with them, but the kids are already totally lost. That moment, what you do is give them a big hug, calm them, sing a little lullaby, nursery sounds, and you hold them, calm them down. Once their lower brain gradually calm down and back to their upper brain. This time, you can talk. This is how we do that. If you do that more, read more, all they hear is blah, blah, angry mom. Will cause you more anxiety, right? So this is a good book to read. I highly recommend it. Neurotransmitter is another reason. Serotonin. We'll talk about that a lot. And this is neurotransmitters helping our brain message transfer smoothly, more efficiently in our brain. And we found out not everyone, but quite a lot of our patients have a low serotonin in a synapse between our neurons. That's why about 50 to 60% of patients respond well with SSRI, which is a medication, to increase the level of serotonin or synapse in the brain.
Can you
Yes?
measure serotonin? Can you actually
It's very hard to measure, and it's not, yeah, I know, it's good, that's good. Good questions. But I think we need to research if we can. Temperament, like I said, like my boy, Aiden, and he's the one, I know he's always shy, he's always cautious. And he's even, the kids were nail biting. My son not biting nail. He's peeling his nail, not, every week I'm the job to trim the nails. My son's okay. All right, here you go. And I'm only dealing with the toenail, just for now. And my big son's okay. So, and I know he's more anxious. He just, in a new environment, you see kids his hands together. And sometimes kids doing this fighting too. We don't have a lot of good strategy to stop it, to be honest. If you do, let me know. I understand where the advice coming from, but I know it will go away. I will know it will go away. So I give him a lot of support on that. And that's the temperament. It's actually a personality trait. And it's so funny. There's actually research says anxious kid, you can even feel him when they're in your tummy. They're jumping a lot. Environmental issues. 15 to 20% of kids, they have had their traumatic events in their life. Sichuan earthquake, that's a huge one for a lot of families. And child abuse, a lot. And sometimes abuse is made just not by strangers or by relatives, but actually by our parents. Because we don't know how to deal with stress. We're causing more stress. Also parenting style. In China, I don't know, we're beating our kids, but they're bad. Not me, our culture. I don't ever do that. They're angry, and they just easy to wipe on whatever normally they're spanking about. Very easy. So my rules, never put your hands on kids and women. It's actually show your weakness, not strength. And also the divorce. There's a parent asked me about divorce things. Yes, it's causing a lot of trauma if you don't prepare. You have to prepare it. Not just financially, how to divide with your wife. It's also for kids. I know there's in China there are quite a few parents. They're not living together, but they don't declare that they're divorced, and to protect the child, which is good. And sometimes there's a friend of mine, and they're divorced, and when the kids go to university, I'm not recommending that. It's you suffer. You still have your life. And parenting style I'm talking about. Well, I mentioned a lot about parenting style. We're busy too. We're coping. And we need to put that line to cope. We all, and also like me, I'm an overprotective parent. Because I heard a lot of bad news about environment, about abducting kids, especially boys in China. So I was super anxious when I first arrived here. My hands is always very tight on kids. And also, my wife is kind of more relaxed on kids, and me is because I'm overprotective. And I was walking on a compound, don't touch the leaf, says me, because they just spray the pesticide on me. And don't play with dirt, and don't and all that. And it's raining and there are puddles on the street. In Hong Kong, we just play in the puddle with kids here, and they do not say, oh no, the people spit on the floor. That's me, I know, I just can't help it. Some of you too, right? My wife, come on, let them be, you know? Then we'll wash it. My style, I'm assuming I'm causing a lot of anxiety on my kids. I try. Each time I want something right here in my mouth, don't say it. You know, if it's relatively safe, it's okay. You know, we're playing in our compound sometimes. And as long as there's no car approaching, try to learn. But sometimes it's automatic, because my anxiety, automatic, I was jumping. And last night, I went home early, and I tried. My wife's very busy, so I always do work taking care of my kids. Because I'm flexible with Parkway, and I can schedule my time as I want to. So last night I went home early, sitting down with my boys' homework. Their year 2 homework's a lot. 比较重. Hopefully you guys will have one. So I said, come on, Chinese work. Come on, talk dinner house, come on. And I said, okay. After he done his Chinese work, and he did a lot of English work yesterday, the day before. And I saw him, he's already started jumping. Go play, have fun. I'm in the field for 20, 30 years. I'm still correcting myself, mindfully just say, I'll sit back, oh God, and relax. So a lot of I'm doing is automatic reaction. That's a paradigm. And I know a lot of mom here, if you are active with your hand. Only 2? Oh my God, good for you. For a Chinese parent, not overprotected? My God, that make me feel bad for myself. Yes?
What do you call avoidance behavior?
Oh, what is good? You know, you don't let them go to.
Oh, you don't let them.
Yeah, let them go to. Encouragement, you know, sometimes you say, oh, this is different issues. I didn't put on that. Avoidance issues. So when the kids don't want to go to school, it's okay. You encourage that. You encourage that. Anxiety disorder. We're talking about the newly published DSM-5, which is a new diagnostic criteria from states last year. And they no longer put OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, in the under the anxiety disorder list. It's gone.
Really?
Yeah. If you come from OCD, we can talk about it later. And also PTSD, which is traumatic post-traumatic stress disorder, is also gone, their own category. So we're talking about pure anxiety issues now. Well, I like it. And also it listed by the onset of time. First one. Can you guys read? It's pretty small, right? It's number 1, anxiety, separation anxiety disorder. It's all normally start before 6 years old. Like my boy, when he arrived at school, he cried for 2 months. And number 2 is selective mutiny. Do we have selective mutiny in the school? We do? Okay, yeah. Like my Aiden, maybe if you take some clinic, then probably diagnosing that selective mutiny. Like this. Some are really severe. The girl I met in Beijing, and she was anxious too, but she, in international school, she can speak Chinese loudly. Any English teacher for 2 years. And we actually worked on her a little bit later, and I think she's much better now. We changed school. We changed school setting, and then we give the therapy and get you better. Another one is specific phobia. I don't think I have time to go through details of all those things, but special phobias, like you're afraid of certain things. Animals. Like my sister, ever since she was very, very young, if she sees snakes, she could pass out. Even a picture of snake. And I checked her a lot when I was young. Sorry. Snake. I know that she still has that. And have time to treat it. And also injection, blood, and all that. Even heights. We have name. And also panic disorder. Panic attack. The people have the phobia of having a panic. That's also having a lot of panic disorders. And other things like social anxiety. This is very good. The old DSM-4 is that social anxiety. It's will only happen. Oh, it's wrong. Like separation anxiety. It's only happening in the early childhood, before 18. Now as adult. The first one, separation anxiety. They don't want to leave home. They don't want to separate with their attachment figure, which is parents or main caregivers. We actually had a joke when I was in the last year on CME, and the professor was on stage and asked him, who still have their adult child living at home? Oh, quite a few raised their hands. That's why the DSM-5 extended to adults. So still, it's extended to adults. We can't. I do see adults still living at home with parents. Panic attack, social anxiety disorder is quite common. Very rare social anxiety, social phobia. It's very, very rare in our age. Maybe pre-teen, and start with teens more. They have a lot of social interactions and they have a lot of issues and more awareness and start dating and pay more attention to their figures, appearance, and all that, causing them. And panic disorders. Last week I had a little girl come in, she had panic disorders. She says that she can tell it's coming. Yes?
Dr. Pu, we're at our last 30 minutes, and I'm wondering, I want to make sure that people have a chance to ask you questions.
Okay, I'm gonna finish that.
Okay.
Okay, so the panic disorders. I think I'm less anxious now, so I can talk a bit more. All right, the other things is about mostly happening in the early, later in their lifetime. So maybe I talk to high school kids later, talk about other generalized anxiety disorder. And also medication substance causing anxiety too. You know, if you take, of course, taking high school kids, I always ask, you guys, on anything. And also sometimes this substance, those kind of marijuana and all the things that actually it's interacting with medications. That's why I asked too. It's because of anxiety. So my son had this cold medicine. I can tell. Very anxious. Yeah. So we're now really controlling that. All right, I'm not going to go because there's all the details about those disorders. And I'm just going to put here, red flags. As a parent, what are we looking at? Okay. You see the child having a stress, totally out of the proportion of the situation. For the girl, Anna, refused to go to the beach because afraid of sharks. 10 years old. Totally out of proportion. You see the beach, they have this sharp nets and everything protected. And asking if Anna again, a list of things asked every single night. And ask questions, what if. Somatic symptoms, physical symptoms. Tummy ache. Very, very often to see kids will complain about tummy aches. And headaches, back hurts. And also anticipation about the event coming months, days, or in later. Worry. Sagana's afraid of worry about Christmas coming. The people who's looking forward, holidays here. But no, because they take the flight back to States, a long journey. She's very anxious on that. And sleeping issues, sleeping disturbance in sleep. That's another sign. And all of a sudden, didn't want to sleep alone. In the house, cuddle with parents and get onto the parents' bed. Nightmares, a lot. Another one, it's very cute. It's perfectionism. So always he goes, man, the word's not right. You can see always correcting himself. And overly responsive into things. Always, oh, I'm doing right. I'm okay. Oh, I heard you, and all that. Always an apology to others. Always care about what other people think. Very careful, especially girls, right? And of course, if you get an interruption of the family function, child, honest family, they can't go on vacation. And the mommy every single morning has to walk with her to school. And
Dr. Koo, I have a question about the red flags. So as parents, we see this probably pretty often in our children,
yes,
not in long phases sometimes. When do we, as parents, decide it's time to go seek help? Because I could look at all these things and say, oh, I remember when my child was doing that. Oh, I remember when my child was doing that. Oh, I remember when I'm doing. So I don't want to feel like a parent that's being negligent and not seeking help. So when do you decide it's time? Is it when they start to get physically sick, or when is it actually time to seek the help from the
I think
parent?
physically, for instance, tummy aches, right? Definitely, parents first see the GI specialist, or just family medicine pediatrician to see that first, to rule out it. Sometimes it truly has tummy ache. But if we see more, we don't look at each symptom. Oh, I won. She's a little, perfectionist. Or we're going to say, doctor, no. We have to see function. Everything we look for functions. Yeah. If our daily function being totally changed based on that, yeah, and she refused to go to school, a lot of issues at school, and all family structure, our routines being interrupted. We're looking at function, on kids' own function too, social academic function. It's going down. That's function. We all looking at function. I think the key thing is not, you don't need, sometimes you're looking at online, you search for those signs. Oh my God, my God, my God. But she's functioning well, right? Of course, it's never bad to consult a specialist. Yes?
So how do you help families that they're struggling with the stigma of going, to go get help? The stigma around that, as educators, how do we help families get past that, that challenge, that barrier to going and getting help?
I have a lot of referrals not from here. I am directly from teachers, from a community center. And they come to community center with social workers. That's the first step we go to. And also, this is a good thing you're doing. This is the way we share information for our parents to understand this. And also, of course, come to see me not very good. It's, oh God, I'll shrink, or we always can see a psychologist first. And also, sometimes we recommend to see a pediatrician. Quite a few kids refer to me by our pediatrician because of the GI issues. And they rule it out and come to see me. I'm going to rush, right? Diagnosis about just quickly. This is our thing with DSM-5 we use, and ICD-10. Some of our hospitals using that too. And the Chinese will have used different, similar to ICD-10. And also in our clinic, we try to use some simple questionnaires, and the kids can do, but it's up to 11 though, which right up to 5th grade. And on their own. Sometimes a kid's 10 years old, things should be good, so I let her do it on her own. And a parent can read that. Very simple and easy, quick. The good news, we all hear good news, okay? Anxiety disorder is the most treatable psychiatric condition. So don't panic. Even what happened, forget it. And the common treatment, CBT is number 1. and the most powerful, effective way to do it. And also, it's organic. We don't take anything. Okay? That's why I normally come to my office. If I see not as severe, I want to try CBT first. Hold on. Parents can. This is a very good book. Some parents are not liking it. About CBT, work with our kids, about the stories, about worries, fears. You go through that, a lot of strategy in there. And this is actually theoretical about OCDs, obsessive compulsive disorder, and also the mood things, and temper tantrum and all that. It's a very good book, theory about 6 books. And it translated in Chinese family. It translated in Chinese already. And CBT is mostly working on the 2 things. Remember the 2 things about anxiety. It's overestimated the condition and underestimated the ability to handle this. So CBT is working on that. 2, number 1, to discuss about the facts. Is there facts? Are they really that bad? We talk about that. Number 2, and so you can handle that. Working on through all that. This is another thing I put on there is a manual, the CAT manuals. We're looking for a good therapist with a manualized treatment. Go step by step. That's why about 12 to 16 sessions, which is very important. And also medical treatment. For Princess Anna, I give medications on that. One reason is because the CBT is not working well with her. And number 2 is very severe, and genetically in the family as well. So I gave her a very small dosage of the Prozac, hoping that will help her. Of course, number 1, serotonin will help her become more smooth and less irritable. And also, the therapy can easily go into it. So this is all combined things. It's very important. And the things about CBT, is research also, about 50 to 60% respond well with CBT alone, and about 40 to 50 respond with medication alone. But combined together, 80%. Still have 20%, some other things. All right, every day we deal with the stress, not anxiety disorder. We deal with just anxiety for life, keep us very busy. Well, how can we deal with it as parents? Number 1, I rush up a little bit. We got to treat ourselves better. I was actually recommending to our mother. I said, go have a massage. You need to calm down. If you are edgy, anxious, how do you deal with your own son, own kids, right? And there are a few things we list here to help yourself. Read a book, exercise. Have a social group, talk to a friends, talk to, and all that. And cut down caffeine and alcohol. Sometimes you're stressed, you probably, kids are gone. Start a little sip of that's actually that. Another thing is, how can we create a better home and less level of stress in our family? There's a pattern we can do. We do a lot of eating dinner together. It's easy to say, but it's hard to do. Husband always busy travel, right? And even I'm working. I'm pretty sure if I'm home, if I'm in Shanghai, I'm dealing with my kids. Unless the patient asks to extend the session together. And my wife's most times are journalists because she's always finished her 8 9. So at least I can be with the kids. But I hate to see the kids eating with IEs and father eating somewhere and mother eating somewhere. This is not a function family. Do the best you can get together. And weekends, we do some family activity together. Go to church together, love to see that. And we'll watch a movie together and do some family sports together. Family together. And the thing is, this book is talking about growing tomato trees. If someone who read this book already, very, very cute. If you don't care that, and the tomato will die. But if you feed them really nicely every day, water them, put it out there. It grew very fast. Tomato is just like our worries. If we worry every day, our worry gets much bigger and bigger. Anxiety gets bigger and bigger. Okay? That's why we need to do more fun things together as family to give less time for tomatoes, for worries. Breathing. Another thing we can do with our kids is called belly breathing. It sounds very simple, but take good practice. You have to practice first before you teach your child to do it. Even my son, 4 years old, can do it. Just take it to practice. It's a lot of books can have. I don't have time to go through this. Just, make sure it's to your time. When I see our kids on clinic, I wish I could have 2-hour sessions with our kids. I want to see them more often, so I get to know them. I'm a Chinese. I see a Caucasian girl come to see me. It's tough. A guy, Chinese guy, and so it takes a few times make the clients comfortable with me, so I can do some therapy. Well, easier for me with Chinese kids. In band, we can work out together. Cultural barrier. Other way we can do a calming and relaxation, we can do it at home before we see a specialist. There are a lot of resources here you can do at home, books and things, even in Chinese. And the other things we can do is kind of mindfulness, huge issue. It's very sexy. The mindfulness, it's a very good thing for parents as well, for kids to do. There are a few books about mindfulness activities for our kids, and you do kids together. Please look at it. And yoga, I'm not a yoga fan. Some of mom can do, but you can do yoga with the kids too. There's good research on it too. And I'm a Chinese, and Chinese acupressure, even acupuncture can help. But if you can overcome the needle anxieties. And art, music, doing together is very good. Exercise. Every single family client comes to me, I want to do exercise. The kids, drag them out, take them out. There's a book called Spark. Have you ever read that Spark? It's very good on exercise. When you work, say 30 minutes every day, it will produce a small amount of antidepressant in your system. So we have a less chance to do that. Okay? There are at least a few books, and it's not on my list. Another thing I always recommend for kids, the anxious kids, and omega-3, especially DHA, 1,000 milligram a day, max. Sometimes they have the research said if you have a 2,000 something, it's actually not good. Research said lower dosage of omega-3 is helping our anxious mind. ADHD kids, yes. And also vitamin B complex. For kids with sleeping issues, first, of course, you need to sleep hygiene, trainings, routines, all this. That's one thing. Another thing is melatonin. It's good to choose. And people even email me, how much should I give? For younger kids, maximum 5 milligrams. I don't want to go over 5 milligrams. So there are little pills for younger kids that have 1 milligram. It's like a little sugar-coated tablet put on the tongue that works. And another 3 milligram tablet, that's 1 milligram tablets. It's all my time here, and this is, I'm hoping we equip with skills to helping our kids, precious kids, and we understand them. The kids coming differently. They're just individualized, so different with different personalities, and we, parents, we should calm ourselves down. First, and lower our level of anxiety, and take care of our anxious kids. Thank you very much. I gotta fix my computer.
Parents, do you have any questions for Dr. Pu?
So when you have a child who's worried about something, do you try, as parents, what should we do? Should we try to make them talk? Should we try to relax them? What would you recommend?
Depending on what they're asking.
If they don't really know, they understand still biting their nails and say, I don't know what to do.
How old? How old are your child?
9.
9. Yeah, I think 9 is, we're talking about the brain structures, right? I mean, it should be very, we should can reason with them. We're talking about. But it just depends on what kind of question he or she's asking. And is it out of proportion? Or it's constantly ask the same question over and over again? It depends. Well, kids ask questions. My 4 years ask a lot of why this, why that, repetitively. That's part of the growth. I just say the questions, I told you many times already, 9 years old. It's not OCD, it's not. Yeah, I know it's not OCD, I'm just saying it's not. Yes?
Are things like the melatonin and vitamin B, are those long-term therapies or are those?
Long term. Oh, melatonin is not. Melatonin takes needed. For omega-3 and vitamin B complex, this is actually very good. The research says it's very good to take long terms. I'm taking it.
And for children, do you recommend vitamin D supplement as well?
Vitamin D?
D,
No, I'm B.
B, like
Yeah.
also vitamin
B is more for the immune system. It's not. Vitamin D is not automatically, so it's somewhere else. Yes?
And this is a good question. I use the melatonin gummies. They're like 3 milligrams for
Yes.
my kids. They've been doing it every night for a long time.
Okay.
But my pediatrician had said that melatonin is kind of like vitamin C, that if your body needs it, you'll use it. But if your body doesn't need it, it'll
I
just
agree.
get rid of it. Is that true?
I agree. Because
Okay.
when you kind of into like a cozy, kind of sleepy, it's actually the body produce melatonin for you already. So if your body have that, don't give it. The main thing is not, we don't depend on medication on that, even supplements, right? So those things we need to create a routine of sleep. Sleep hygiene is very important. Research sleep hygiene probably found a lot of tips on that. So let's do that first. I mean, if you long-term taking that medication, well, we don't have a lot of research on the side effects.
So that if they've been taking it regularly, maybe
Yeah,
not
for-
taking it
for-
for a while. It
Um,
works though.
It works, of course it works.
If you don't want to, don't break away.
Well, you can do it, break it, slow down dosage gradually.
Okay.
Let the body get used to that. Don't just, no, not tomorrow, I'll probably get have insomnia that night. But just kind of gradually. Can you cut it?
Yeah, they're just gummies.
So you cut it
Okay.
gradually. Yes, ma'am.
Can a child grow out of the anxiety disorder, or is it always there and they've just kind of figured out how to manage it?
Anxiety disorder is hard to grow out. But anxiety, yes,
Anxiety disorder.
it's tough, it's hard. Sometimes if you don't address that, if you don't teach them the skills how to cope with that, you want to empower them to cope with that. That will develop other things probably later on. Very often come up with depression, coping strategies, and also social.
If the child's been going to therapy for a while and they kind of stopped because things are going very well, would you expect that it would come back? Or
No. Oh yeah, there's 50% chance it'll come back. Because there's okay now, but life changing. I go to a new school, and there's a parent came in yesterday, on Monday, and starting medication. I said, you take it now until you settle in the university. I mean, she's 12 years. So we expect something coming, so living alone in the university for a short time. That time, she probably some medication. So we don't want to take away medication. Relapse, yes. 5%. Preventive measure. See, my son, when we moved from Beijing to Shanghai, and there's a few trips coming here to Shanghai to prepare for that, looking for school, gradually. So he said, okay. He said, first, I like this school. My teacher, I like my teacher. That's it. So then he's okay. He's not exotic, but still need to prepare. Yes.
Part of living in China, there are real anxieties, like air quality. So how do you manage when there is a kind of a real risk versus just a perceived risk?
Yes. Well, that's my anxiety too. I have like 4 or 5 machine, 24 hours running. That's why we're being chased out from Beijing to come here. Relatively better. But yesterday it wasn't, right? We have to cope with it. That's life. Sometimes we need to do that. Oh, let's just close the windows, have the curtain, bring all the measure together. We can do it. Even the ISB, Beijing, International Beijing, they have the dome. That's not a coping strategy. The dome is like the rating is like 10 or something. We can do that at home too. Math, the kids, yesterday, do you bring your mask? All that. We have to find a way to cope. Once we have found a way to cope, if you look at that, well, what are the billions of people living and a lifespan? I think it's not that bad. We are 70s, almost reaching 80 years old lifespan, even with pollution. Yes, ma'am.
When there's an event approaching, like a life-changing situation for a boy, like for a kid, I have a 7-year-old, one only child, and he has been already in 3 countries, and so we might move again. And
Okay.
moving to another country, like how in advance should we anticipate this moving? I sometimes even a happy situation like a play date or a birthday party, I don't tell him too much in advance because that causes him anxious.
You're right.
He gets anxious about happy situation and like a stress situation like a moving, Is it good short notice or?
It depends on kids. Some kids just tough. Some kids with this broken net, so they don't care. They're always excited for novelties and it's new thing. But for kids who are very anxious, like my son, like October break, we went to Italy. Even into the vacation, I prepared. We show movies, Anthony Bourdain's movies, and all those travel movies to show my son. I even bring him to Italian restaurant to taste the food first. And all those things preparation, and we had a good time there. So you probably moving to a country, you probably prepare way advance. Play some music in there, and their food, take the restaurants, these countries, and probably take a little visit first to bring him, to prepare him. Yeah. As long as you prepare, for most kids, there's no issues.
Earlier in the presentation, you had talked about removing stressors, and we've personally had a lot of success with backing off on our son and not putting a lot of pressure on him as far as homework and things like that, and it's been fantastic for his anxiety. However, I wonder if that's are we enabling him by doing that, like by removing stressors like that? Because as he gets older,
How?
yeah, is it just because it's the formative years now and then later he can deal with it, or is he going to have trouble in the long run because we
It's too easy, right?
make it easier for him?
Well, it depends on which have the balance of kids. That's why there's also another book talking about that structure, not just saying breathing and mindfully taking stress away. Also, we need to set rules, structures ahead of time for our kids. There's curfew time, there's bedtime, there's homework time. If we set a routine, they decrease their anxiety. So that routine is very important. It's not like, oh, you feel okay? Oh, okay, you don't feel okay, don't do the homework. I'll talk to my teachers. I'll talk to teachers. This is not good. We're going to gradually bring them in with the structure. We all agree, this is the time we do this. It's very important. Set up routines. Don't back down. You still have your, like I said, yes, it will be life too easy. Now, I was talking to teachers about giving excuses. It's not very good. For long, I don't know how old your son is now.
12.
Okay. 12. Yes, we need to get structures.
Well, he has structure because he likes schedules and he likes
Oh.
to know what he's doing. It's just, I'm not constantly asking about homework and things like that. He's kind of, I found that when we back off with him, he's just so much better. But he does know his.
So set up structures, you do well. I mean, set up a structure, give them trust. Sometimes we need to set up a structure, a time for checking. You want to make sure. Balance is also very important.
Thank you, Dr. Fu. Thank you so much for coming in. Parents, thank you so much for coming in today. It's always great to have you here. Will you have a few more minutes to stay just a little bit longer?
Sure.
Okay. So if you have more questions, Dr. Fu will be here a little bit longer. I know that's when you need to go now at 10, so thank you so much. Have a great day.